In the dim glow of the emergency room lights, Brio clutched Ben's hand, whispering promises of forever as the doctors fought to save his life after a brutal hate crime attack. But when Ben woke up, Brio was gone, leaving only a note that read, "I can't do this anymore." That single act of abandonment would unravel years of hidden love, forcing both men to confront the wreckage of their choices in a world that demanded conformity at any cost. Brio Thompson had always been the golden boy of his conservative Texas family. Raised in a sprawling ranch house outside Dallas, where Sundays meant church and family dinners enforced strict values, Brio learned early to bury any part of himself that didn't fit the mold. At 18, he escaped to New York University, trading wide-open skies for the chaotic energy of the city, hoping the distance would let him breathe. It was there, in a crowded freshman orientation, that he first locked eyes with Ben Rivera, a sharp-witted literature major from Brooklyn with a smile that could disarm anyone. Ben was everything Brio wasn't: open, unapologetic, and fiercely proud of his Puerto Rican heritage and his sexuality. He wore his heart on his sleeve, volunteering at LGBTQ+ centers and marching in pride parades without a second thought. Brio, on the other hand, was a master of evasion, dodging questions about his personal life with jokes or deflections. Their friendship started innocently enough: study sessions in the library that stretched into late-night walks through Washington Square Park, sharing dreams and secrets under the arch's shadow. But one rainy evening, as they huddled under an awning, Ben leaned in and kissed Brio, and the world tilted. For Brio, that kiss was a revelation and a terror. He pulled away at first, mumbling excuses about confusion, but Ben's patient understanding drew him back. They began dating in secret, stolen moments in Ben's cramped apartment, where Brio could shed the weight of his family's expectations. Ben pushed him gently toward self-acceptance, introducing him to friends who lived openly, showing him that love didn't have to hide. Yet, every phone call home reminded Brio of the stakes: his father's stern lectures on traditional family values, his mother's subtle hints about settling down with a nice girl. The internal conflict gnawed at him, joy in Ben's arms clashing with the guilt of deceiving those he loved. As sophomore year unfolded, their relationship deepened. They spent weekends exploring the city, from hidden bookstores in the village to quiet picnics in Central Park. Ben dreamed of writing novels that captured queer stories, while Brio pursued business, envisioning a life where he could support them both. But cracks appeared when Brio's parents visited unexpectedly. Panicking, he introduced Ben as just a roommate, watching hurt flicker in Ben's eyes. That night, they argued fiercely, Ben accusing Brio of cowardice, Brio defending himself with fears of disownment. "You don't get it," Brio said, voice breaking. "If they knew, I'd lose everything, my family, my future." Ben softened, pulling him close, but the seed of doubt was planted. Junior year brought more pressure. Brio's father, a prominent oil executive, started grooming him for the family business, dangling internships and promises of inheritance. Meanwhile, Ben's activism intensified. He organized campus events against discrimination, drawing Brio in despite his reluctance. One protest turned violent when counter-protesters clashed with the group. Ben was shoved to the ground, a bruise blooming on his cheek, and Brio froze, torn between rushing to his side and blending into the crowd. Later, in the safety of their dorm, Ben confronted him. "When are you going to choose us over them?" Brio promised change, but deep down, he knew the answer was never simple. The turning point came during spring break. Brio returned home, where his parents announced they'd arranged a blind date with Emily, the daughter of a family friend, a perfect match to secure alliances. Trapped, Brio went along, but the evening was torture. Emily was kind, intelligent, but every laugh felt like betrayal. Back in New York, he confessed to Ben, expecting anger, but Ben's response was worse: quiet resignation. "If you keep living this lie, it'll destroy you and us." They made up with desperate passion, vowing to face the world together. Yet, Brio began pulling away, skipping dates, citing study loads that were excuses for his growing panic. By senior year, the tension was palpable. Graduation loomed, a milestone that forced decisions. Ben applied for grad school in California, hoping Brio would join him, start fresh away from prying eyes. Brio, however, accepted a job in Dallas, rationalizing it as temporary. Their fights escalated, Ben demanding commitment, Brio pleading for time. One night, after a heated argument, Brio stormed out, wandering the streets until dawn. He realized he loved Ben more than anything, but the fear of losing his family paralyzed him. In a moment of weakness, he called home, hinting at struggles, only to hear his father's ultimatum. Come back and be the man we raised, or don't come back at all. The hate crime attack shattered everything. It happened after a Pride event. A group of assailants targeted Ben, shouting slurs as they beat him senseless. Brio rushed him to the hospital, holding vigil through the night. As Ben lay unconscious, Brio wrestled with his demons, the love that saved him colliding with the shame that chained him. When Ben awoke, groggy but alive, Brio couldn't bear the vulnerability. He left the note and fled, boarding a flight to Dallas, convincing himself it was mercy. But as the plane took off, regret clawed at him, the first payment in a lifetime of costs. In Dallas, Brio threw himself into the family business, burying his pain in work and routine. He dated Emily sporadically, her warmth a poor substitute for Ben's fire. His parents beamed with pride, oblivious to the hollow man their son had become. Nights were the worst, dreams of Ben haunting him, waking in cold sweats. He avoided news from New York, blocking mutual friends on social media, but whispers reached him. Ben had recovered, thrown himself into writing, publishing essays on queer resilience that subtly referenced their story. Months turned to a year. Brio's engagement to Emily was announced at a lavish party, his father's hand heavy on his shoulder. "This is what family's about," he said. Brio smiled through it, but inside, turmoil raged. He questioned every choice. Was hiding worth the emptiness? The wedding planning amplified his doubts, vows that echoed hollow, a future scripted by others. One evening, scrolling through old photos in secret, he found a picture of him and Ben laughing in the park. Tears came unbidden, the weight of his betrayal crushing. Back in New York, Ben channeled his hurt into art. His debut novel, a thinly veiled account of their love and loss, gained traction in literary circles. Critics praised its raw exploration of internalized homophobia and societal pressures. Ben dated casually, but no one filled the void Brio left. He attended therapy, unpacking the abandonment, learning to forgive. Not for Brio but himself. Yet, anger lingered. How could love turn to cowardice so easily? Brio's facade cracked during a business trip to New York. Walking familiar streets, memories assaulted him. He stumbled upon a bookstore event where Ben was reading from his book. Hidden in the back, Brio listened, heart pounding. As Ben described a character who chose family over love, the narrative dripping with pain. Their eyes met across the room. Ben's widening in shock, Brio's filled with remorse. After the reading, Brio approached, voice trembling. "I had to see you." Ben's response was cold. "You left me when I needed you most. What makes you think you can just show up?" Their confrontation spilled into the night, words like weapons. Brio confessed his fears, the pressure from home, but Ben wasn't swayed. "You chose them over us every time. That attack? It showed me who I am. But you're still hiding." Brio begged for forgiveness, admitting the engagement was a mistake, but Ben walked away, leaving Brio shattered on the sidewalk. That night, Brio called off the wedding, facing his parents' fury. "I'm gay," he declared, the words liberating and terrifying. His father disowned him on the spot. His mother wept, but Brio felt a strange peace, the price of truth. Ben, meanwhile, received a letter from Brio weeks later, detailing his coming out and the fallout. It stirred old feelings, but trust was broken. He focused on his career, his novel climbing bestseller lists, using his platform to advocate for those in similar struggles. Yet, doubts crept in. Had he been too hard? Could love survive such damage? 2 years post-attack, Brio rebuilt in Chicago, working for a progressive firm, volunteering at shelters. He dated openly, but comparisons to Ben persisted. A mutual friend's wedding brought them together again. Awkward at first, then tentative conversation. "I'm sorry," Brio said sincerely. Ben nodded. "I know, but sorry doesn't erase the hurt." They parted as friends, a fragile bridge over the abyss. Highs and lows defined their separate paths. Brio's family rift deepened. His father refused contact. His mother visited secretly, torn between love and loyalty. The isolation forced growth, therapy unveiling layers of self-loathing. Ben's success brought scrutiny, interviews probing his personal life, forcing him to relive the betrayal. He wrote a sequel, exploring forgiveness, but privately wondered if he'd ever trust again. Fate intervened at a conference in San Francisco. Both speakers on queer rights panels, they shared a stage, perspectives clashing yet complementing. Offstage, drinks led to honest talk. Brio admitted, "Leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life. I paid for it every day." Ben softened, sharing his own regrets. "I pushed too hard sometimes, but you broke me." In that vulnerability, sparks reignited. Not the naive love of youth, but something tempered by pain. They reconnected cautiously, long-distance calls turning to visits. Brio moved to New York, starting anew. Their relationship rebuilt on honesty. No more secrets. But scars remained. Trust issues surfacing in arguments, fears of abandonment. Brio's family slowly thawed. His mother attended a dinner, awkward but a start. Ben's novel series concluded with redemption, mirroring their journey. Yet happiness came at a cost. Brio lost inheritance. Ben's privacy invaded by fame. Society's judgments lingered, subtle discriminations at work, stares in public. They navigated it together, advocating change, but the weight was constant. In the end, as they stood hand in hand at a pride march, reflecting on the path, one question lingered. Was the pain of their choices worth the freedom they found, or did society force them into impossible sacrifices? Was Brio's initial abandonment a necessary evil for his growth, or an unforgivable act of selfishness that no redemption could erase?